don't tell me I dropped my cup. Did I drop my cup? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh no! Where'd it go? Hang on. There's the little cup. Where's the other one? Where did it go? Cups. Where'd it go? I don't know. It ran away. Hang on, where's my cup? I just had it. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Uno, yes, okay. Hi. It's Tuesday. Yes, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. And it's hot. I'm telling you, it's hot. I have ice, though. I have lots of ice. Oh, that felt good. Hi. So everyone's on about the cups. So yes, I got what happened with the, okay, here's what happened. So I initially had one of these cups from Walnut Grove that did not have a logo. It was a plain 1800s cup, kind of looked like ones on the show. And I liked it, and I didn't know if people wanted that kind of cup or another kind of cup. I didn't know. And I thought, oh, when they sent me a mixed box when I first ordered them. They had some of these and some of these, and I went, well, I don't know. People, they ordered the cup. I thought maybe they'll think this is more advertising and they'll want the plain, and I don't know. So I sort of randomly, and then I went, okay, wait. So then I wrote to people and said, do you want, somebody said, no, I want the logo. So then I emailed a bunch of people and said, do you want the logo, Walnut Grove, or do you want the plain? And they said, no, I want the logo. So I sent them logo. And then I said to a nice lady in Walnut Grove, hey, when you send me the cups, send me logo. So, because then they also had just sent me a box, all 100% these. And I was like, uh-oh, everyone wants logo. So now, if you go to the store after all of that, there's this one and this one, and you can order them logo or without logo, and I got a box of each. So you want logo, you can have logo. You want plain, you can have plain. I got like a random assortment. That's what they were sending me, and I thought, watch, I'll send the plain, they'll want logo. If I send the logo, they'll want plain. So logo it is, which is great, because I'm sure the fine people at the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum in Walnut Grove are thrilled that you want the cups with their logo all over it. Cool. So logo it is. I got logo, I got plain. And we got bonnets. We have bonnets. We are reasonably well stocked in bonnets, and more are coming. So, phew, I think we have that sorted. And by all means, if you get something and something's wrong, you go, this didn't the thing, and the photo got bent, and the name isn't spelled right because old lady didn't have her glasses on, and was crazy. Okay, or I don't want the thing. I want that. Mail it back. Somebody just mailed me a book and was like, no, the name's misspelled, and I just redid a whole another book and wrote Merry Christmas in it. It was like, yeah, so it's fine. Just said about, I'll fix it. But there you are. But now you can order the one you want, and we'll get sorted. I'm just like Little Red Riding Hood here. This is hysterical. Oh, somebody's got one with the Mansfield logo. Oh God, now I'm gonna have to go get those. Although I do have those Mansfield Missouri bonnets. What day is it? What day is it? It's tra-la-la-la-la. Okay, we did Nonprofit Day. We did the 17th. Today is Tuesday. It is August 18th. I cannot believe it. I cannot even believe, where is it all going? It's 18th. It is National Fajita Day. It's Taco Tuesday. So it's National Fajita Day. I can make fajitas tonight. I have some chicken. I got some veggies. Get some peppers. I got onions. What else do we need? Peppers. And I got tortillas. Actually, it's Taco Tuesday, and I already told Bob it's going to be Taco Tuesday. I'm going to make like a taco thing tonight. And in fact, for snack, I have Trader Joe's tortilla chip, unsalted kind. I like that. They're too salty. I like the unsalted kind. The regular is just too darn salty. It's just too much salt, so I get the unsalted. And I have some salsa. It is National Mail Order Catalog Day. I'm a sucker for a mail order catalog. I am. I order, when you get those things in the mail, the envelope with all those little single pieces of paper, strange, like old people things, things to grab things off of shelf. You go, who orders from this? Who orders this? Me and Bob. We are the crazy people who order all that stuff from those catalogs. Love it. Was it Oriental Trading Company? Man. Well, that's what I got. These tiki glasses. I got a whole bunch of them for $10. It's like real, it's not plastic. It's lovely. Pinot Noir Day, and it is the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. Hello! Yes. And, of course, it's like the 104th for Canadians, because the Canadians gave women the right to vote years before America did. And then don't even talk about Iceland, because, yeah, they did like a woman president while we were still thinking about it. So, yes, but America did actually finally give women the right to vote 100 years ago, which was it was a big deal. It was a big deal. I know, people go, no, it was like a huge thing. It was a big deal at the time. People were really upset. There were political cartoons, and people demonstrated, got arrested, and people went on hunger strikes. It was a big deal. They kind of went state by state and then finally got the president to... It was a huge, huge deal. No idea. There you are. It is also National Ice Cream Pie Day. Pie. Ice cream. Pie. Ice cream. Two of the greatest things ever combined. No. Yes. Oh my God. So, yeah, fajitas and mail order catalogs. You can order some fajitas. I love mail order catalogs. I do. I order all that junk. I'm terrible. I order all that stuff. And ice cream pie day. Yay! So those are our days, and I explained to you my tin cup crisis. You know, neither of these are 100% solid. They're listed in the guide as decorative. Oh yeah, and you can go to the website. You can go to the websites. You know, you can go to Walnut Grove or Mansfield, Missouri, or any of these Laura Ingalls historicals at DeSmet, South Dakota, and they have a gift shop, and it's online. You can buy stuff from them. Of course, you want to get an autograph from me. That's all. But they will tell you on their site that they are considered decorative because they can leak, and they will say don't put hot liquid in. There's places you could order like Civil War recreationist sites where they have these solid tin mugs where you can put hot boiling liquids in them and like cook over a fire. But these things, if you put hot liquid, this will expand and the little joint there. Yes. If you put very cold liquid, cold milk, it's it's iffy. Although I have to say, I put some cold milk in and it was completely fine. And then I had one where it was sort of like a dribble mug. A little came out. Someone said, could you put pencils and things in them? Yeah, you could put stuff in them. Oh, with candy. They make great favors. Put little candy in them. You know, if you really want something to drink out of every day, you're gonna have to get something a bit more solid. There's a blue speckleware mug they make. I think it's at Walnut Grove. It's like totally solid. They're a little flimsy, like Laura would not have made it across the prairie all the way to Kansas or all the way on the way home on that trip to Missouri with one of these. She'd have flung it out of the wagon 3 days in because she would have said, this is not, you can't get hot liquid. But you can probably get away with a little milk now and again. Check it, make sure it's not drizzling on your lap. So there you go. But yeah, don't try to put hot coffee in this sucker. That'll be in your lap because it'll just expand. So there you are. But I got ice cold Coke in these tiki mugs. A little condensation. These for Oriental trade, oddly, are quite good. They're already Oriental trade has the you know what's also good is Vermont Country Store. Go to Vermont Country Store. They got a catalog, they got an online. You can get like such 1800 stuff, such 1930s, the candy. But yes, there's lots of good stuff out there. I actually got my Nellie nightie and white bonnet that I use for my sight gag thing in my show from Country Store. So I'm having salsa and chips. They're selling Halloween stuff in the catalogs already. Halloween, it's not even September yet. And I don't know. I mean, most places kids aren't going to go trick-or-treating and nobody's having a party. What are we doing for Halloween? I don't think they sit around and wait for ghosts to actually show up. Cumberland. We've got a Cumberland. Yes, they have a bunch of stuff. I'm discovering all of these places. There's a medieval something. These places that sell all this incredibly cool stuff. So you can pretend you're in the 1800s. You can pretend you're in the 1400s. You can pretend you're in the Civil War. You can pretend you're in medieval times. They got it. They got it all. It's really great. That is delicious. So was it Vermont Country Store? Yeah, Market has stuff that nobody has, but then they have stuff that is pricey. Oh, that's good. Okay. So now, reading of a book. Coca-Cola. Oh, yeah, so they're ensconced in the Ozarks now. See, Laura Ingalls Wilder, a biography by William Anderson. And we are ensconced in the Ozarks now. They made it. They got the house built. They got everything done. My fan is making too much noise. Oh, it's hot. I have made homemade salsa. I've been lazy in buying it, but I have done it. I've even grown my own jalapenos. The gem city of the Ozarks. So, yeah, things are getting good in the Ozarks. They like it there. Soon after the Wilders arrived there, the town of Mansfield experienced a small boom. That's good. A new railroad line encouraged small industries to begin and helped to bring families to the area. Mining activity also brought people to town. The Berry Mine near Mansfield shipped out ore to St. Louis, and the Lead Hill mining operation produced zinc and lead, and probably killed a lot of people because lead is poisonous, and back in those days they might not have thought about that sort of thing, and probably lead, zinc may have gotten into the groundwater or the river, and people got exposed to lead, which is incredibly bad for you. What are you going to do? 1800s, what do they know? Well, at least it wasn't a uranium mine, you know. During the late 1890s, downtown Mansfield was a busy place. Around the town square, by the way, is still quite lovely. Around the town square, fancy brick buildings were constructed to house various businesses. There were general stores, a bakery, a drugstore, an opera house for traveling shows, flour mills, and a bank. The square was filled with shade trees, and it was a good place to watch town activities and to await the arrival of freight and passenger trains at the depot. Traveling salesmen often stepped off the train with their sample cases and headed for the stores or went to one of the 2 hotels in town. That's a big place to get 2 hotels. The Mansfield newspaper bragged about the town, calling it one of the best and most prosperous cities in this part of the state. Mansfield is the gem city of the Ozarks, in every sense of the word. That's pretty good. It is rather nice, if you've never known. At the edge of town, on the road out to Rocky Ridge Farm, stood a little yellow frame house. It was 1 story, with an attic above and a front porch, decorated with lacy wooden scrollwork. It was close to the school, and it was less than a mile from the Wilder farm. In 1898, Manly and Laura decided to rent the house for $5 a month and try living in town. She keeps doing well in town, tell you. They knew that years would pass before Rocky Ridge was a self-supporting farm, and they wanted to earn money to invest in their land. Mansfield seemed to be the best place for them to live while they established their farm. And their farm was still doing, way better than the farm they had back in Desmet, and better than any of the Ingalls farms. Manly Wilder became Mansfield's drayman. I don't know what that is. D-R-A-Y-M-A-N? Drayman? Oh, hauling things around. Dray. Okay, here we go. Mr. Cooley had started a hauling and draying service soon after the Cooleys and the Wilders settled in Mansfield. In those days, before automobiles, but not long before automobiles, they're in the 1890s. Some of the towns they pass through, there's pictures they put in the book, and there are cars and trolleys on the street, so... But not everybody had one. The drayman, the delivery man, as Sarah says. Yeah, because they weren't widespread. Cars, they started to exist, but they didn't have huge fleets of trucks, and the average person didn't. So back then, the town needed a delivery man whose team and wagon could haul loads in town and country. When Mr. Cooley died, Manly bought the business and the team and wagon from Mrs. Cooley. As a drayman, Manly met the trains at the depot and unloaded shipments of merchandise for the stores. Laura and Rose were always the first to know when new styles or fresh bolts of material arrived. They also know who came and went on the train. Ooh, gossip, gossip, gossip. When travelers or railroad workers or salesmen wanted a good meal, Manly suggested his own house. Laura had started cooking and serving meals in the little yellow house as a way to earn extra money. Well, they'd done it before. Remember that winter, everybody was coming by the Ingalls house and they'd feed him and put him up. Laura's cooking quickly became profitable. She decided not to cook in city style, she says here, but instead to serve things nearly impossible to get in the city. Now remember, they're saying the city and their farm it's a mile away. They are in the country, for heaven's sake. I assure you, if you're from like LA or New York or Chicago or any big city, and you go to Mansfield, that's a city, you'll go, yeah, I'm in the country. It is, but by their standards, it was like, ooh, the city. And the city in the country was like a big deal. And we can't get that here. And it's like, it's 2 miles. It's over there. But there you go. Delivery wasn't as much of a thing. Getting things to people. We take that for granted now. All this Amazon, I want it now. Like, I want it now. Deliver it now. And people get stuff brought over from food to goods all the time. Like, we get things on planes going back and forth. Back then, there you go. It was a huge deal that they had the drayman, a delivery guy. Oh, wow, we actually have a guy with a wagon who can go pick it up from the train station and get it to the store. This was huge. And the fact that they had trains, we're actually going to get supplies from the other end of the country. This was earth-shattering that they could get. So, yeah, people would say, well, we only have this in the city and we only have this in the country, because getting things back and forth was a huge deal. Nearly impossible to get in the city. So what was the country food that nobody in the city could have without her kitchen? These included fresh eggs, new milk, fruits, vegetables, and frying chickens raised on Rocky Ridge and brought into town. Laura discovered she could earn extra cash by using home products, combining them with a spirit of hospitality and a little taking of thought. Laura also enjoyed the interesting people she met at her table. So she was doing, like, do you know about Knott's Berry Farm in California out here now? But Knott's Berry Farm started literally as a berry farm with boys and berries, and now it's a giant, enormous amusement park. But their big thing is Mrs. Knott's Chicken Dinner. When they first started, and they literally were a berry farm and had like pony rides and burro rides, Mrs. Knott sold her chicken. And she had the chicken and dumplings thing and a fried chicken thing and a rhubarb pie and jams. It was a smash. And they still have Mrs. Knott's Chicken Dinner restaurant because people went, oh, old-fashioned country thing. Chicken. This is so weird that I even know this. Chicken was a big deal. You got chicken in the country. You couldn't get chicken in the city. Now you got beef in the city because Chicago, Omaha, the big steak places, they had the big slaughterhouses and the big cattle farm. They'd ship that stuff out on trains. Chickens. That was a country thing. And it was a big deal to have a country chicken dinner. And there's actually a recipe. If you get the old cookbooks, city chicken. Okay, I'm sure Sarah knows this one. Does everybody know about city chicken? This is like the weirdest thing ever. City chicken is veal, baby cow veal, on a stick. I'm serious. City chicken. And I actually know people are old enough to remember eating city chicken. In cities where getting a chicken was like a huge deal and you couldn't get a chicken, in the city they would take veal, like wrap it around a stick, and then cook it up, fry it, and it was like a chicken drumstick because it was light meat, it wasn't beef, and they called the city chicken. That's how hard it was. Chicken was expensive. It was bananas. Now that's just like, who would make such a thing? Chicken is like the cheapest thing in the supermarket. It's like, what happened? And that's why there are city chickens. People do keep chickens in the city nowadays too. Someone has chickens up the street from me. I don't know who. But sometimes when it's quiet out in the yard, I hear, and I'm like, who is doing? Someone has chickens, like, up the road. I don't know. City chicken. So she really liked this. She was kind of doing the Mrs. Knott's thing. And I just saw Bill said he'd never been to Knott's Berry Farm. Oh, I'm wondering if they reopened, because they haven't opened Knott's. Maybe they reopened, because the chicken dinner restaurant is outside the park. Maybe. I have to look. Have they reopened Mrs. Knott's Chicken Dinner with, like, for takeout or, like, social distance eating? Because I need some rhubarb pie. That's some chicken. Okay. So Laura's running a little country restaurant, and people are loving it because they're city folk. They're digging it. And she met interesting people at her table. One of them was Mr. N.J. Craig, who worked at the Bank of Mansfield. He became one of the Wilders' closest friends. Well, that's handy, have a friend at the bank. Living in Mansfield made Rose a town girl. Definitely an improvement from riding Spookendike to and from the farm when she went to school. Rose liked town. Rose definitely liked town. The year the family moved to town, Rose was 11 and in the 6th reader class. That sounds close to almost now. It's like 11, 6th grade. Kind of, in there. Rose read constantly. Oh, good. One of the Wilders' neighbors had a wall of books, and Rose borrowed and read them all. The Mansfield school extended only to the 8th grade, and Rose longed to continue her schooling. Some of her schoolmates planned to attend private academies in larger towns where high school courses were offered. Imagine they're not like, where's the public high school? Oh, our school only goes to the 8th grade. If you want to go to high school, you have to go to a private school in another city. That's scary. Can you imagine? I guess they were all figuring, well, we're farming, we don't care. Academies. But Rose knew the academies charged tuition that her parents could not afford. She's talking about like it's going to university. She's trying to figure out how to go to the 9th grade and pay for it. I think somebody needs to build a high school down there, don't you? Terrible. During the summer of 1898, the Wilders had their first visit from relatives. Manly's parents, who were very nice people, we remember, from Farmer Boy, Rose's grandpa and Grandma Wilder, along with his oldest sister Laura, arrived for a long stay. Laura was then a widow, traveling with her parents. They were moving to Crowley, Louisiana, where Manly's brother, Pearlie, yes, Pearlie Day was a real person, and his sister, Eliza Jane, was nothing but trouble, they had settled in Louisiana. Eliza Jane had married a wealthy rice plantation owner and had a son named Wilder. She was convinced the entire Wilder family should move to Louisiana. Okay, Eliza Jane, again, with trying to make everybody do everything she wants. First of all, she taught school and was kicked out after a semester. She was like a train wreck. And then, it wasn't even in 1910-20 that high schools were built in many places. Isn't that terrible? They had no high school in the rural side. But my father went to a one-room schoolhouse in Saskatchewan, in Mozart, Saskatchewan, and he left school around 14, 15, and left home and went to Vancouver. And because I don't think it went up past that. So, there you go. 8th grade. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So there really was a Pearlie Day, and Eliza Jane married well. But Eliza Jane, she wanted to mess with Laura and Almanzo's wedding. She wanted to throw this bridezilla wedding, a huge expensive thing, and control every aspect of the wedding, tell them what to wear. And Almanzo went, no, oh God, we're not doing that. Ugh. And Laura's like, oh no, what do we do? And that's why they got married right away. If we get married right now, before she can get on the wagon or the train to come here. And so they ran out and got married, had the nice quiet little wedding with the Reverend Brown, because Eliza Jane was going to come and stage the wedding of doom that she apparently wanted. And which I'm sure she got, because she married a wealthy rice plantation owner, so I'm sure she had the wedding of doom. That must have been amazing. So now she's married a rich guy, and she's really trying to lord it over everyone. And now she's telling them they should all move to Louisiana. Oh yeah, because everybody just wants to up and move to Louisiana, because she does. Eliza Jane, stop. Somebody just stop, Eliza Jane. Grandpa Wilder was 85 when he sold his beautiful Spring Valley farm for several $1,000s. Remember, he was good with money. Farmer Boy. Yeah, Mr. Wilder was very good with the money. Eliza Jane and Pearlie talked him into investing most of his money in Louisiana rice lands, and then invited him and Grandma to live in Crowley. Royal Wilder had married and settled in Spring Valley as a merchant, and he refused to move south. Yay, Royal, you tell him. Manly had worked so hard making his start at Mansfield that he would not leave. Besides, neither he nor Laura were fond of Eliza Jane, who had been Laura's teacher back in Smet, and almost ruined their wedding. Yeah, so they're not going. Also remember, Laura and Almanzo went to Florida, and they hated it, and it was too humid, and Laura got sick. So she's not going to Louisiana. Clearly she does not take this. She's not going to go. If she's going to live in Florida, she can't live in Louisiana with the humidity. So Eliza Jane is a pain in the butt. Now, clearly the rice lands were profitable, but I have a feeling that her plan to put all this money in this, it's probably going to end badly because she's not good at these things. During the weeks they spent in Mansfield, the older Wilders often worried about the money they had invested in rice farming. Yeah, because it was Eliza Jane's recommendation. That's 10 points off right there. Both Grandma and Grandpa feared that their money would be lost, though Manly tried to reassure them. On the one hand, rice farming would be quite profitable. People eat a lot of rice. But it's Eliza Jane. One day, as their visit was ending, Grandpa surprised Manly. He had bought the rented house on the edge of town and turned over the deed to his son. Well, that's nice. Now Laura and Almanzo own the fancy little house that she's turned into kind of like a little B&B restaurant. Grandma and Grandpa Wilder and Manly's sister Laura continued south, only to find that most of their fortune had been lost in poor investments. Grandpa died in a few months, homesick for his Minnesota home, but content that he had provided one for Manly, Missouri. So his last act of sanity was to buy that house for Almanzo. And then he followed Eliza Jane, and they lost all their money, and it was horrible. Eliza Jane. Laura's family back in South Dakota often wrote with news of friends and happenings in De Smet. Pa and Ma were comfortable in their house on 3rd Street. Yeah, they got off that plane thing and just went to town. Mary lived with them, busy with her Braille books, her music, her handwork, and church activities. She was cheerful and happy and a great help to Ma with the housework. Carrie worked at the De Smet News and Leader office for many years and also lived with Ma and Pa. Okay, real life Carrie, way smarter than TV Carrie. Can you imagine the TV baby Carrie? I work at the newspaper now. Breaking news. Breaking news. No. Baby Carrie, not at the... But the real Carrie was extremely smart. And she later ran a claim office. It's very clever. And the real Baby Carrie, the actresses who played Baby Carrie, have grown up to be terribly smart. Terribly smart. Rachel's an accountant. I like math. No, Baby Carrie's the smart one. Go figure. Well, so Baby Carrie grew up to work at the De Smet News and Leader. And she lived with Mom and Pa. Her wages helped support the Ingalls home, but she found time to enjoy her bicycle, tennis, church work, and ladies' club in De Smet. That's very modern. She's playing tennis and riding bikes and things. Little Grace took a college teaching course and became a country school teacher, just as Laura had done. She taught several schools west of De Smet in the Manchester area, and while there, met a farmer named Nate Dow. Grace and Nate were married in the parlor of Pa and Ma's home in October 1901. It's the 20th century. We're in the 20th century. Their own home was a farm on the prairie, 7 miles west of De Smet. In the winter and spring following Grace's marriage, the letters from De Smet were filled with concern over Pa. He was 66 and suffering from heart failure. In May 1902, the message came that Laura should come home. Pa was dying. You know, the real Charles, 66 is pretty young, really. Nowadays we go, 66, oh, good heavens. I guess there's more they can do for you if your heart's bad. Not so much they could do then. But he lived longer than Michael Landon. The real Charles made it into his 60s, and Michael Landon was 53, 54, which is, I'm older than that. So the real Charles, despite living in the 1800s and having a heart condition, outlived Michael Landon. Scary. In haste, Laura left the housework to 15-year-old Rose. Like I said, she left her alone at 3 to do things. Laura boarded trains and changed trains all the way to South Dakota. Remember, she used to be scared of them. Finally, her train stopped at De Smet. There was no fiddle music to greet her homecoming, but Laura had arrived in time to see Pa once more. He lingered until June 8th, dying, with Ma and the 4 daughters close by. At least he was at home, and they were there, and she got home in time. Pa's music, his kindness, his respect for hard work, and his sparkling blue eyes and cheerfulness had always influenced Laura. Even though her first hard years of married life, and later when she and Manly had established their new home in the Ozarks. At Pa's funeral in the Congregational Church, his favorite hymn was sung, Sweet By and By. Laura thought that when her time came to die, perhaps Pa and his fiddle might be playing that song for her. Laura lingered in De Smet to visit with her family. When she left, it was the last time she ever saw Ma and Mary. So she made it home to see Pa before he died and visited them, but then that was it. She went back to Missouri. They lived on together for many years in the cozy house Pa had built, but never visited Mansfield. Oh. Carrie visited the Wilders in 1903. Oh, there you go. See, Carrie got herself over there. And was so impressed with the Ozarks that she bought a lot in the town of Mansfield as an investment. I told you, baby Carrie's the smart one. During the summer of 1903, Manly's sister Eliza Jane and her son Wilder came to visit Mansfield. She just turns up like a bad penny. She just has to... Eliza Jane, she can't stay in Louisiana. No, she has to come back. She has to come back and just bother people again. Why? Why are you here, Eliza Jane? Eliza Jane was now a widow. The rich rice guy, the rich rice man, he died. And she had spoiled Wilder rotten. Oh, there's a surprise. Manly and Laura were speechless at some of Wilder's actions, such as purposely breaking their sitting room window. Oh, excuse me. Rose was amazed at her younger cousin's bold and fearless behavior. They became great friends that summer. Rose was like, yeah. This is a lot like now we're getting back to, oh, wait, it's like the show. We're getting the real stories that in the show. Because we had a lot, didn't Almanzo have, and they kind of made up, they messed with the brothers' names and who was who, but didn't they have someone show up? They didn't have Eliza Jane show up because in the show, they kept Eliza Jane a spinster, and there was that whole, harv, won't marry me thing. So they couldn't admit that the real Eliza Jane got married and had a kid. And so she couldn't come back with her horrible spoiled kid. So they had Pearly Day, or they made up another brother or something, show up with these horrid little children. And there you are. There's the horrid children of the Wilder family. But it was Eliza Jane's terrible spoiled child, smashing stuff up. And then Rose thought it was cool. Okay. When Eliza Jane and Wilder were preparing to return home to Louisiana, they asked Rose to join them. Rose longed to attend a real high school and study Latin, which she could do if she lived in Crowley with her aunt, who probably had inherited a bit of money from Mr. Rice Guy, unless they lost all that investment, the rice farmer, worth a few bucks. Uh-oh. So this had to have been, because we know there's been a lot of, over the years, tension, shall we put it politely, between Rose and Laura. There was a lot of tack. I would imagine Rose saying, I'm heading south with the incredibly annoying Eliza Jane and her hideous son, couldn't have gone over well. That could not have been a big hit. Oh, first families inherit all. No! Okay, Sarah just said, oh, that's terrible. In the Louisiana law at the time, the original family, the Rice guy's first wife, she didn't get anything. They took her wedding ring. So she didn't inherit. She did not make any money marrying the rich Rice guy. She didn't inherit diddly poo. So that's terrible. It's terrible. Gotta make a will, people. Gotta make a will. Well, I cannot imagine Rose announcing that she's going to go with Eliza Jane and the son, who are just awful and nobody likes. That had to have annoyed, like, I'm sure that Laura was like, what? So here we go. Manly and Laura agreed that Rose could spend a year away from home, so she left Mansfield along with her aunt and cousin. In Crowley, Rose was a brilliant student. Just as she'd been in Mansfield, she passed the high school entrance examinations easily because she had read so widely at home. Yay! During the year in Crowley, Rose crammed 4 years of Latin into one. Latin. I haven't even taken like a month of Latin. I know. The only reason I am familiar with some common Latin terms and Latin roots of words is because my mom and Jess Peterson, what was it? Latin. My mother was like, it's Latin, you know, because she had studied Latin. And then in studying French, and then of course living in LA, studying a little Spanish. Hello, Latin, duh. But I wish I'd taken Latin in high school. I'm much smarter now. 4 years. She did 4 years of Latin in one. Yikes. That's really smart to do that. Wow. When she graduated in the spring of 1904, Rose addressed the audience at commencement exercises with an original Latin poem she had composed. As Eliza Jane said, Rose was a very bright girl. Yeah, think? When Rose returned to Mansfield, she saw that her parents were no closer to their goal of making Rocky Ridge Farm a paying farm than they had been when she left. Manley had become a salesman for an oil company, delivering kerosene, oil, stove, gas, and turpentine all over the countryside. That's probably profitable. The Wilders rented out the house on Rocky Ridge, but they kept working to improve the farm. After he finished his delivery route, Manley tended the crops, the orchard, and the livestock on the farm. Sometimes a hired man helped him with the work. Rose could see no way to help her parents financially. There was no work for a young girl in Mansfield, no chance that she could attend college, and they didn't need like a Latin instructor on the farm or in Mansfield. I mean, if she went to the big city, she could be in the languages department of some university and teach everything. But no, I'm dropping my chips. Latin, probably not a highly useful thing in Mansfield, Missouri. Unfortunately. Chips. Salsa. What's she going to do? Well, she's making money selling the oil. Terrible, terrible, terrible. No, she really wanted to go to college. She had no money-making skills. I don't know that she was awfully smart. I mean, she'd work. She'd work at the bank or something, right? But then, Rose found a way to learn telegraphy. See, science to the rescue. The Mansfield depot master agreed to teach both his daughter and Rose the language of the telegraph key. This is the 1800s version of she learned to code. That's what this is. She had a great education. She knew Latin. She had this just like, but I got to get some, make money. And the guys are all farming and driving trucks and wagons for draying. She learned to run the telegraph machine, which is essentially like the first computer. So there you go. She's like coding. Rose caught on quickly. When she was ready, she found a job in Kansas City, Missouri as a telegraph operator. She's in on the ground floor of communications. That was the beginning of everything, the telegraph, of telexes and telephones and the internet and everything. And she was there. That's the way to do it, girl. And the pay was $2.50 a week, which was enough to support herself and send some money home. At 17, Rose left Mansfield. 17! It's pretty smart. 4 years of Latin, telegraph operator. That's a good gig. When Rose left home, the era of the working woman had just started. Well, yeah, if you don't count building an entire farm and like plowing the fields and building a house work, because they were doing that, but there you go. When Rose left home, the era of the working woman had just started. Employed women were called bachelor girls and were considered very modern. One of the first things Rose did in Kansas City was to shorten her skirts to keep them above the dirty sidewalks. Then she cut her long hair. Both styles created a stir in Mansfield on Rose's visits home. Oh, she was a modern. Oh my God, it's thoroughly modern Millie. It's not quite the 20s. She's not a flapper yet. But remember in Thoroughly Modern, are you a modern? And she's going to bob her hair and wear short skirts. Woo! And work in an office. She's Thoroughly Modern Millie. She's Mary Tyler Moore. She's Julie Andrews in Thoroughly Modern Millie. This is hysterical. But, have you seen that movie, Julie Andrews and Mary Tyler Moore and Carol Channing? Yeah, Carol Channing. And B. Lilly, my childhood friend B. Lilly. Yes, it's very strange. It's a very strange movie. Go watch it. It's a very weird movie. But there you go. Wow. Cut her hair. She cut her hair. Remember Laura having her hair? It went down to like her knees or ankles and braiding it all the way up on top of her head and everything. And Rose just went, yeah, I'm getting a shag. Although they worked hard in town and on the farm, Laura and Manley were happy during the years when they lived in their little yellow frame house. They worked on projects at the Methodist Church, where Laura organized the first Christmas bazaar. Almanza was active in the Masonic Lodge in Mansfield, and both he and Laura were members of the Eastern Star organization. That's sort of like this a Mason thing, and then you have your Shriners and your Eastern Star, and they had their Oriental Princess. They have like 8 million things. My grandfather was a Shriner. It was like a big thing to do back in the day. They liked the religious and charitable ideals of stars and Masons. With friends, they enjoyed parties, socials, picnics, fishing trips, and campouts. Of the Mansfield years, Laura later said, "We worked hard, but it was interesting, and it didn't hurt us any." I like that. It didn't hurt us any. Wow. Well, it hurt him a little hard. It almost hurt Almanzo. But, yes. So they're now at the turn of the century. They're now in the 20th century, which is just, like, wild and crazy. And they're getting kind of modern. They're doing modern things. There's trains and telegraphs and big cities and things are happening. And they own a house in town. And it's amazing. And Rose knows how to operate the telegraph and is running around in the city wearing short skirts. Oh, they must be all the way up to her ankles, I'm sure. Short skirts and cutting her hair. Wow. That's right. And Rose, did not get married young. And then she got divorced. I'm just saying. Rose was not having it. None of the traditional stuff. None of it. Rose was like, Well, there you are. Well, so there you are. That was like amazing. I like that chapter. That was amazing because it was real. The whole prairie, it's the 1800s. Laura Ingalls just went, now it's the 20th century. And there's more. And I will read it. The heck am I reading next? I found some other Bill Anderson stuff, but I also Bob ordered me a book. There's a book. Like I said, there's all these books that came after, and there's the Roger McBride stuff. Some of that's cute. But there's a book, and you guys probably all heard of this. Prairie Lotus. It's about an Asian American girl in like Missouri, and it's kind of cool, and it's well done, it's well written, and it's sort of a whole prairie thing from another Chinese perspective. It's a trip. So I'm getting a copy of that, and I will take a look. And if it looks fun, I may read that. But we'll read stuff. We'll just read some stuff. And then I'm gonna cook things, and this will be fun. It'll be fun. It is so hot. But there you are. It'll cool off eventually. So take care and check in on your friends and wear little masks and wash your little hands. And I will see you tomorrow.